Hey, what's good, guys? Welcome back. Um, Today I want to talk about serving others. Um, want to talk about serving others. Um, I was in a kickoff meeting earlier this year, earlier in the month, actually in January. Really early January, probably. I think it was on the 13th. It was literally just this week. Um, and they spoke about serving others. And when they were talking about that, I was thinking about the movie Holes. And I don't know if you've watched the movie Holes, but it's basically about a bunch of people who are getting punished and they have to dig holes. And the reason why they're digging holes is because the sheriff or the person who's making them dig the holes as punishment, they're looking for treasure. And they never find this treasure, but there was an instance in the movie where, spoilers, by the way, spoiler alert if you're gonna watch it. There's an instance in the movie where and I forgot their names, but somebody brings up somebody else to the top of a mountain because he needed water, he was thirsty, he was dying. I don't remember why. I think they tried to run away. And in this area where they were digging holes, there's no water. It hasn't rained for years, right? And so he brings this person up to the top of the mountain and gives him water, and he is singing him this song. And something happens in the movie where the drought that was happening in the desert where they're digging these holes, this drought comes to an end. He's singing this song, he's offering him water, and that act of serving somebody else, because I think he was also in the same boat, except he was more able to carry his friend up the mountain to give him water and stuff. He was kind of in the same boat and he was serving him, and because he did that, it's this whole ancestral thing in the movie, but because he did that, it started to rain. And basically what I have here is that in the movie, there's people, they're digging these holes as punishment, right? And it's interesting because I kind of see that a little bit, like people around the world who are disqualifying themselves of things that they are able to go out and get, but they're disqualifying themselves because they've been put in a box by other people, right? And I am also kind of in this box also. It's your own personal box, and I'm working on getting myself out of this box, right? But this box is basically limiting beliefs, and we're given to them by everyone around us, whether they know it or they don't. It kind of just happens, because really that's all we know. So I don't blame people for doing that for others, but there's a lot of people who's listening to these media gurus, who do a lot of talking and do a little bit of doing, right? And maybe listening to people who they have their intentions in the right place, because I see this all too often. They have their intentions in the right place, and they're telling you these things, but a lot of the times, if they don't have enough context to really understand what their thought process is, it's hard to really understand it. It's like the difference between one thing, you hear it all the time, you know it, right? And you think you kind of understand it, but like it hasn't clicked the same way it's clicked for these people, right? And they're explaining it and they're talking about it, but you don't fully understand it. But then something happens, and then all of a sudden it's just kind of like clicks. Oh, that's what they're talking about, right? And for example, there's this saying that I've heard people say, and it goes, in order to be selfless, you first have to be selfish. And that the reason why that is the way it is because you need to be able to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. Because when you're always taking care of others and before you take care of yourself, something happens in your mind when you reach a certain age. For everyone it's kind of different, but for me, it got to a point where you have this idea in your head where everybody else matters more than you, which is weird because it's a thing where I don't know, it has to do with self-esteem. and it's a thing where like you kind of diminish your own flame to bring up others, but then there's no one really there to help you bring up your own flame, if that makes sense. Like, because you're busy taking care of all these other people, helping them all out, but then what about you? You know, they're all kind of worried about themselves, and it's weird because it sounds so self-centered, but that's the point. Like, it's selfish, but you know that when you do the things to take care of yourself, you know, you're eating properly, you're taking care of your body, you're taking care of the things that matter to you. It's interesting how much more happier or how much more higher your frequency of being is after doing those things. And then being at a higher frequency, it allows you to do better for other people. Compared to if you're constantly doing better for other people, your frequency is coming down because you're not taking care of yourself, your own body, right? It's like self-harm, almost, right? But it's okay because you're helping other people. I mean, that's the idea. That's how it was for me, at least. You know, it's okay. I'm taking care of other people. It does what do I matter, right? But it gets to a point where you kind of wonder, like, man, I'm giving all this love to all these people. I'm not getting anything back, right? But that wouldn't matter if you gave yourself love first. And that's the idea with, in order to be selfish, you first need to be selfless. In order to be selfless, you first have to be selfish. Sorry. Mixing up of words. But I've learned that you can pretty much say anything and be pretty convincing with whatever you're saying. But if you're unable to get the picture that's going on in your head through someone else's head, the same picture, you know, like painting them that picture, it's really easy to get misunderstood. Because a lot of the times, you know, even though the content is good, the thought process is usually the thing that basically gets you from, it's like the vehicle from point A to point B. You know A, you understand B, right? The destination that you want to get to. But you don't know the thought process to get there, you know? And a lot of the times that's the missing link. But that's why things click when they click, because you've heard enough of it. You've heard enough of it, it's kind of in your subconscious almost, but nothing's really happened to make your brain think that way. And then, you know, when your brain starts to think that way, click, that's what it is, right? So yeah, man, like sometimes it's not really understood, because sometimes the only time it's gonna click is when the time is right, which is kind of hard or weird to say, which is why some people tell stories. But it takes learning and the change in your thoughts to actually get there. Now, the way I see it, when it comes to understanding things, especially the things that almost like buzzwords a lot of people will say, but don't really truly know the meaning of, I see it as a two-step understanding process, because after that, it's just all like seeing how true it is time and time again, right? Like, I give you an example of the law of attraction. You think of something like, oh man, let's say I'm praying to God. I don't know if you believe in that kind of believe in that faith, but you're praying and you're really hoping that you have the strength to go through with this, whatever it may be. I wish I have the strength to do something, right? Well, the law of attraction is gonna surprise you with things that are gonna require you to need strength, right? It's gonna require you exactly what you're asking for. And I never really understood this, because I always thought to myself, like, man, if I need this strength to go do what I want to do, why am I praying for it and I'm getting these things that require me to have strength, and I don't have that, right? But then you start to think about it, or if you ponder it long enough, you'll find that strength or courage is a skill. It's something that if you do it more, you will have more of it. And it's very interesting because Andy talks about this. Andy Frisella, he talks about how he's had a guitar teacher tell him he's not patient, and he's like, well, how do I get more patience? You know how you get more patience? This is what he said. To get more patience, you need to do things that require patience, and that means it's a skill. It's one of those things where, you know, you snap enough times, you'll be really good at snapping, right? You do enough things that require strength and courage, you'll be courageous, you'll be strong, right? Do things that require patience, you'll be patient, right? And it's interesting because when you see and when you start to understand that kind of thing, it's like, oh man, first you hear it enough times, then you think, oh, that's bullshit, that's lies. But then you actually try it and you start thinking, oh man, I think it's true. And then something happens and it clicks and you're just like, oh shit, I think it really is, like, I think it's really, really true. And so you start to do things and it starts to affect your philosophy and the way you behave. And it enters your subconscious and you start doing it without thinking. You start doing things that require that strength without thinking. And yeah, like it's interesting because I just kind of wanted to hop on here to talk about, you know, serving others. And I went on a whole tangent of where a lot of people are doing a lot of talking but not a lot of doing. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm on that road. I'm currently doing a lot of talking and not a lot of doing. But that's all changing because those who are in the arena, those who are doing the do, have a say. And that being the case, I just want to remind you that if the people who are naysaying you, they're putting you down, those people are not fighting the good fight like you are, you know, in the arena, doing the hard work that you're doing, and they're telling you, oh, it's not worth it, you're not gonna get anywhere, it's only a part-time thing. They have no say because they're not in it, right? They're just, it's like looking at a gladiator who makes tons of, I don't know, fame, money, fortune, whatever. And the non-gladiators are telling the gladiators it's not worth it. But the gladiators have really seen how it is. So their say is all that matters. All about the gladiators. Not actually. But yeah. I wanted to also add on here that it's that there's a saying that goes, you know, he who is overworked and underpaid will eventually be underworked and overpaid. And that's a saying that you hear a lot when you're in the entrepreneur space. But being, I guess, young as an entrepreneur, you don't really know what exactly that means. And I'd say I've been in this space for about 6 years. Actually, no, 5 years. 5 years now. And the way I understand that is that when you're, you know, building your own like business, when you're building a team of people, you know, you gotta help them, you gotta help them strive to do better so that they can go out and do the things that you can do, right? Kind of help them, right? Especially with their own profession, if that's something that like they're looking to have a career in. Help them out. And you do it enough times with enough people, right? You're building, you're teaching. Everyone in your team, and you're serving them, right? Just as you'd feed them the things that you know and the things that, you know, you needed to know, so that they can go out and do the things that you can do, but even way better than you. You know, that's serving others. And it ties in again with the quote in the beginning that I said, with to be selfless, you first have to be selfish. And so if I don't know what I'm doing, how can I go teach others, right? I don't know how to take care of myself, how can I help other people take care of themselves, right? And it's the whole idea of leadership in terms of where, in order to lead other people, I'm not sure if you've heard this before, but if you want to lead other people, you gotta first lead yourself. And that's a big piece of the puzzle, because a lot of the times people are not willing to lead themselves. We're looking for other people to lead us or tell us what to do, or give us a hint on what we probably should do. But there's a lot more when it comes to serving others, and those are the things that were just on my mind, at least for now, over the last couple days. And yeah, I just think serving other people, serving other people to just do better than what you can do is very, it's almost like giving back to community, but not giving back material thing, giving back something that they can use. I think that's it for what I was thinking of. Anyways, till next time, if you like what you heard, this was episode 2. I'm not really naming the episodes here, but if I was, this was episode 2. And till next time, on episode 3, I'll catch you.